next video. And in this video, I want to talk about when your way is frustrated, when you are, as they say in the world, disappointed. I already made videos in which I explained that disappointment is a social construct that people believe in. Because from a spiritual point of view, there is no such thing as disappointment. Just like there is no such thing as rejection. You have the emotions that are associated with that concept called rejection, and those emotions are destructive. But that thing itself does not exist. But it's only because people believe that that thing exists that those emotions can get a hold of them and have an effect on them. So people need to be renewed in their mind. And I want to tell you in this video, because I want to keep it very short, that often your way of receiving things or achieving things is frustrated by God because your way would have destroyed you over time. Okay, now I'm give a small illustration. Okay, let's say I'm going to use a middle example now. Your name is Greg, and you, Greg, you want to start your own writing career. You want to write novels, and you thought, you know what? One day, when I'm almost at my retirement, then I'm going to begin writing books, because then I don't have to work that much anymore. Because Greg is quite content with going to his job every day. He's grateful, he's not complaining nor murmuring. But there's one thing Greg doesn't notice. That job is killing him. He's under so much stress, but he doesn't notice it. Why? Because the social club at the job is motivating him. It's like a drug. Because people are so welcome, so kind towards him, he's motivated to come to his job every day. So it's like taking a pill. It boosts his body. But that doesn't take away the destructive conditions that his body is in. So Greg is falling apart without him being aware of it. But he thinks, well, one day when I'm a bit older, then I'm going to write books. Then suddenly, one day, he is called to the office of the boss. And the boss tells him, Greg, this company is closing. We need to fire some people because we can't afford to pay everyone. I'm sorry, but the board decided that you have to go. Greg freaked out because his friends were people he knew from the job. He only had a job for his income. How is he going to pay his mortgage now? But he would be paid until a year later 70% of his normal wages. And well, he got fired. So he was on welfare, receiving 70% of his former wage every month. And he was thinking, why does this happen? Why did it used to let me go like that? I was always a hard worker and that. So Greg went into prayer, and the Lord told him, Greg, trust me. And Greg was thinking, Lord, I never bothered anyone else. I didn't steal, I didn't rob. I go to church, I say my prayers. Lord, what's going on there? The Lord told him, Greg, trust me. Soon, Greg had to leave his apartment also. And he was thinking, oh dear, first I lose my job, then I lose my apartment. And when he lost his apartment, he had to throw away most of the stuff he had in his house. Well, house, apartment, I mean. So he ended up living at some relative, some distant relative for a while. And the relative was willing to help him. And while he was living at that relative, he looked back upon his, what he considered former life, and realized that he was stuck. he was stuck at a job, stuck in a social circle. He seldom met any other individual. He realized that he was in a circle. And it was when he lived at that distant relative that he realized that he felt more at ease. He didn't realize he was working too hard. While he was at the job, he thought everything was great. But now that he looks back, he's seeing, hold on a minute, this ain't right. Now he is seeing that the people at the job were exploiting him, and he wasn't even aware of it. Now, at least the top bosses, not the manager, but the top bosses were exploiting him. Others were on good terms with him. And then he also looked back on some of the possessions he had, some of the things he bought from holidays in his house, and he realized that some of those objects may have been charmed. For example, he had a mask that he received when he went on a holiday in Congo when he was 18 years old, quite some time ago. And now he realized, hold on a minute, that mask was probably used in wizardry ceremonies. So he realized it wasn't a good idea to have that mask in his apartment. He was 30 now, and he realized that he had more objects in his house that he just considered art, but they did not come from a souvenir store. They came from people that practiced abominations. And he also realized that those people at a job that were his friends, they were a bit negative-minded. They only talked about their job and at home. They never looked beyond. They never noticed anything around them. So while he was at that relative, he began to sell things online on his own web shop. He learned quickly how to work with HTML, and he built his own web shop. Little did he know that that web shop within 5 months would become his source of income, and that this income would be enough for him to, first of all, purchase a small house for himself, so he wouldn't be in a rented apartment anymore. He could purchase his own small house, and not only that, in that small house he would have all the time to write his novels. So he didn't have to wait till he was in his 60s to write novels. He could do it right now when he's 30. So in this case, Craig's expectation of how things would work out was frustrated. The little he had was taken away from him, but that little he had wasn't good for him, but he didn't see it. What I'm saying in this video is that when you walk by faith, there are things that will fall apart, and there are some people that will vanish from you, just like that. Not with an argument, not with a fight, not with a disagreement, but some people just vanish from you. Some will suddenly turn on you just like that, and you think, what is going on here? And because people turn on you, they make things difficult for you. And I'm saying this, it will be the people close to you, not always people from far. But what is really happening is that you are being renewed in your thinking, and because you are being renewed, you cannot remain operative in that oppressive environment anymore. In this case, this Craig was not aware that he was in an oppressive environment because he didn't notice it, he didn't sense any of it, but he was being oppressed. He was oppressed by his job, he was oppressed by society, he was oppressed by the indoctrination he received in his teens of how the world works. And now, because he walked by faith, he was renewed. And because he was renewed, he couldn't remain operative in that oppression anymore. You get what I'm saying here? Okay, let me give another illustration. Some of you have lost almost all your friends, even some of your relatives are throwing you out, and you think, well, was I a jerk? Was I like, what did I do? Listen, if you're walking by faith and you're being renewed in your mind, you agree with Christ for biblical wealth, for biblical abundance. Those other people are poverty minded. Poverty minded simply means that they don't trust that there is abundance out there for them. The only expectation they have is you need to get a job, or you need to have someone that's rich to hook up with, and then you may have money. The only thing they think of is earning it. The only thing they're thinking of is, well, you got to have a good business, or they are holding on to what society told them. And what society told them was practical, but only for a certain amount of people. Because don't get things twisted. Society out there is a fear construct that the human population in a given territory holds on to. And in this fear construct, there are a few that reap the benefits at expense of the rest of the community. And the rest of the community, well, they get along with it, just have security. That is what society is. So what they tell you of you need to work hard, you need to have the right connections, those things may be practical, but only for a select few that will reap the benefits of that fear construct. But you were never even told that society is a fear construct. You never noticed it. So you were conditioned in the negative without you being aware of it. That's why you went along with this dirty game, because you didn't realize it was a dirty game. And especially if you have reaped some benefits. I'm not saying the big benefits, but you reaped some benefits like Craig did. You may not consider that you've been cheated into something. Because you think, I have my apartment, I have my own house, I have my sex partner or spouse here, things are working out, so I earned it, I worked for it. You're not aware that you've been tricked. So, the knowledge you received about how the world works, most of the time it doesn't really work that way. You receive knowledge of how the surface of the world appears. And because you see the surface, you think that that's how the world really operates. People did not tell you about the spiritual behind the world. They did not tell you that leaders of this world, most of the time, they worship Apollo, who is the beast, and that is through demonic forces retain their wealth and their riches. You were not told that worldly people operate in dualistic thinking, and that this dualistic thinking is a trap. There are so many things you were not told. You were told and so-called educated about the surface of the world. And in some instances you could manipulate that surface to get something, but that something you got was always short-lived. So, when you are being renewed in your mind, the people that keep holding on to the surface of this world, because they look at the surface and they think that that is the world. So they're holding on to the whole world, but they think it's the only surface they're holding on to. But they don't even know that it's just a surface. They think that that surface is the world. So by them holding on to that surface, that appearance, they're holding on to the world completely. And such people, when you are walking by faith, they need to disappear. Just like I said, if they are poverty-minded and you agree with Christ for abundance, man, that's a conflict right over there. Anytime you speak from the point of view of abundance, they will get upset with you. They will tell you, be real, man, be realistic. And if it happens that by faith you receive outcomes, abundant outcomes, they are going to be afflicted. They could not afflict, they're going to be upset with it. You know why? Because they cannot explain the abundant result you got through the appearance of the world they've been conditioned into. And it's this appearance of the world that they're holding on to. That's the only thing they have. That's one. And secondly, that's what makes them feel good. That's their security. So if you get an abundant outcome, that is contrary to their security, they're threatened by it. So they're going to turn on you. When they turn on you, they'll either become your bitter enemies, or they will hang out with you and lead you to death. This figuratively speaking. But it can be literal also, in a sense that they will exploit you till there's nothing left of you. So people that are powerfully minded, they need to go. So if your way of receiving things doesn't work, rejoice. It's normal to experience that. Trust God. His way is far superior, because His way, look at this way. You can notice things. You may have understanding. But the Holy Spirit knows everything. He knows everyone, what's in someone's thinking, how someone would be 10, 20, or 30 years from now. You don't know all of that. The Holy Spirit sees everything all the time. So He sees dangers you're not aware of. For example, it can be that you are looking now for a new house, and you see this house online on a real estate website, and you can afford it. It's close to the public transportation. So you think it is perfect. And indeed, it is perfect according to your expectations. But the Holy Spirit sees that 5 years from now, there will be many migrants that will move to that place, and those migrants will bring their criminality with them. So the Holy Spirit sees that 7 years from now, that means 2 years after the migrants will arrive, that whole place will become like a ghetto. But of course, you, based upon your understanding, you can't see that. You really can't. So, when you are in agreement with Christ, you're following Him, the Holy Spirit will block that option from you. The Holy Spirit will literally say no to that outcome. And anytime you try to contact the real estate office, something goes wrong and it doesn't work out. Why? Because you have been protected from your own expectations. That doesn't mean that your expectations are wrong, or that your expectations are evil. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. But there are times your expectations can harm you in the long run. Why? Because other people can use those expectations against you, or the enemy can use those expectations to trap you. That's why be renewed in your thinking. Well, that's it for now. Agree with Christ and be at peace.